And Chael Sonnen, I know you have headlined here inside TD Garden. Nice pop when you came out. I'd imagine it's enjoyable for you to be back in the bean.
Oh my goodness. Hey, John, so that was 10 years ago. And when I came out here, I thought like I was one of these guys. Like, yeah, I'm from Boston. I'm going to go to Regina's. And I was getting a ride from the airport. And the guy told me Regina's is gone. It doesn't even exist. Now, whether that's true or not, the point is, that's when I realized it's been 10 years.
10 years ago, it was almost 10 years ago to the day that you beat Shogun in this building. What do you remember most about that experience headlining in Boston on just about the 10-year anniversary of that fight?
I got to the press conference and I was ready to do my thing, right? And some guy is there and the fans got signs for him and they're wearing bow ties and there's some kind of a look-alike contest and this dude's down on the end speaking funny with sunglasses on. His name's Conor McGregor and I hadn't met him yet. And I couldn't understand why he was getting as many questions as I was, and I was not happy about it. That's what I remember the most.
It's crazy.
History as one of the best talkers, one of the best trash talkers in the history of the game. What advice would you give to the up-and-coming fighters that want to self-promote themselves, sell a fight, but also be authentic as well?
What was that to me?
That was to you?
Oh, thank you very much. All right. So one of the general rules is you give the audience what they want, but you never give them what they're expecting. You've got to come up with a code as well. And some guys forget that. Like a hero has to fiercely adhere to his code. It doesn't have to be society's and the norms and the laws and the policies. It has to be his code. So you have to establish it. It takes some courage. It takes a little bit of time. And I would just tell guys not to try to be the next Conor McGregor. I think Israel Adesanya is wildly entertaining. I think Rampage Jackson got left out of it sometimes. I would tell them not to try to copy those guys or be the next Conor by example, but to be the first themselves. And I know that's a little bit cliche, but there's a lot of truth to it, right? There's a lot of angles out there. And you don't have to do your mama jokes or put a guy down. You don't have to do that. There's a lot of other ways to still be talking and still be entertaining and getting your message out.
And one more question for me. Who is your favorite person to trash talk to besides the universally beloved Tito Ortiz?
Yeah, Tito's fun. Let's see, the trash talk too. I don't know. Probably the Anderson Silva build-up. And I can't really remember why looking back. Like, I had legitimately convinced myself that I didn't like him and he was a bad guy. And I can't remember at all why I thought that. He never did anything to me before or since. But at that time, I felt like I was right in that situation.
You're the man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Sonnen, I have a question for you. I already asked Rob this yesterday, but how do you think the fight between Chito Vera and Pedro Munoz is gonna develop?
Can I tell you this? Why is Chito here? I think if you answer that question, why is Chito here? Chito's here, in my opinion, because he's the unofficial backup fighter. I believe they booked Chito in case anything happened in the main event, they were gonna move him into that spot. And generally when that happens to a guy, if he gets a win, he's now the #1 contender. Generally speaking, I'd love to know Rob's thought on that. You know, he might say that Sandhagen deserves it, and I don't know that people would argue, but particularly if Sugar Sean comes out, Sean said, I already said I'm going to defend against Chito if he gets the win. You know, the Boston Athletic Commission, the Sugar State Athletic Commission, like there's a whole rivalry going on here about records, and who's going to win? Look, Pedro Munoz is a stud, but you're asking me, I think that Chito's going to win.
And
Leon Edwards fight.
Well, first off, it's just a Q&A. You didn't have to get all dressed up for us. But secondly, I say that with love. I actually just talked to Colby, and there was a rumor going around, actually started by the Schmo, that Colby was going to be assigned to the October card or the November card. So that would be either Abu Dhabi or New York City. But Colby is now coming out and saying that he's likely to fight in December. And I think the real truth on that is that's what he thinks and hopes. I don't know that that fight is being booked. I know December is still available and they need a main event, and that seems to make a whole bunch of sense. But it takes three. It takes the promotion and then the A side and the B side. And right now we've only got one guy, which is Colby, saying that it's going to be December. I hope he's right. I want to see that fight.
Same here. I think Leon's scared.
Question for Chael Sonnen. Really love the YouTube channel. Big fan. And my question would be, what is your most anticipated fight for the remaining of this year?
Okay. Well, if we can get Colby Covington and Leon, I think that matters. And even if I'm giving Charles a hard time, I'm giving a hard time because I want to see him do it. I really want to see that fight. I'm thinking, as you say this, I'm kind of thinking, but I will be very curious if Aljo gets a win on Saturday and goes after Volkanovski. If they make that fight, that also opens a door for Gaethje versus Islam. And I mean, there's a massive domino that's on the table based on the outcome of the main event tomorrow night. That I will tell you.
Awesome. And since I'm looking at the man with the greatest charms and the biggest arms, I just want to know what your workout routine is like right now.
All right, so I used to tease people that walked and called it exercise, but I got a treadmill in my garage and now I walk, and then I got some dumbbells in there and a heavy bag, you know, that kind of stuff, but nothing too intense.
I said it to you, I think it's ambitious to think that any mixed martial arts athlete could get to the precipice of a Conor McGregor, but I wouldn't put it past Sugar Sean O'Malley. I think Chael would agree. He can take his profile to an entirely different level if he leaves Boston, Massachusetts, the undisputed UFC bantamweight champion of the world.
Yeah, sure. There was a show called American Idol years ago, and there was this British guy that was a jerk called Simon Cowell, and he came out and told the world that some people have the it factor. And that term has stuck around ever since the guy said it, but we know what that means, right? And Sean O'Malley has the it factor. Plus, he's pulling this new gimmick. It's not just with the hair. Now he's like going places without a shirt on. Or if he gets there and he has his shirt on, he takes his shirt off. I mean, it's funny. The guy is good. It's those simple little things that go a long way. And I worked with Teddy Atlas this morning, and he made a comparison, not to Conor McGregor. He made a comparison with Sean O'Malley to Israel Adesanya that I thought was very interesting. I needed to think about it once Teddy said it, but after he said it, I get that comparison. And yeah, man, his star's on the rise.
That's a great comparison. He's married to the game. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this question is for the undisputed, undefeated American gangster, Chael Sonnen. I was just thinking the other day, how tough you really are, and I came to the conclusion that you're as tough as nails. I'm just wondering, would you agree?
Well, that's very sweet of you. You know, maybe at one time I think that I would agree with that statement, but I do feel like as a fan, as soon as I stopped doing the sport and now I watch these guys, I'll be on the outside thinking, why are these guys fighting one another? Like, they don't have a problem with each other. This guy didn't do anything to him. Like, it's one of these things where it kind of gets a little bit, it's different. Once you retire and you step away, it's, you know what, I'm being humble. Yeah, I'm the man. I'll whip them all. Bring them all. 1-on-1, 2-on-1, or 5-on-1. I'll make them all need 9-1-1. And don't be fooled by these glasses, okay? Or the young man behind you that's got 18 million views for singing The Rich Men from Richmond. Did you see him right behind you? This is the biggest star in the country right now. He might be up here to sing for us in a moment. You got to turn around. You don't even know who's behind you.
Let's be honest, you're still tough as nails.
Tough as nails. Women's pet and the men's regret.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Uncle Chael, I wanted to know your thoughts on the current state of MMA media. What's your outlook in the next couple of years?
For MMA media?
Yeah.
Oh, I love the media. I mean, I go 5 or 6 times a day. I feel like I'm always refreshing and scrolling through the pages.
You are the GOAT.
Oh, I appreciate that. You are correct. But, you know, for like my coworkers, you know, they're doing a good job out there. I like the dirt sheets. I go all the time. Get some rumors, get some speculation. I'll start a rumor. I'll make some up. It's a slow day. Right? We don't have to be right. We just got to be entertaining.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. My question is for the man with the biggest arms in all of Wesleyan, Oregon. I'm a big fan of yours, as well as of Sean O'Malley and Tim Welch's. And I'd like to ask you about what you saw in Tim Welch during your time at Team Quest with him.
Well, Tim Welch, so he wanted to be a competitor. And by the way, he was a great competitor, but he would come up, and I think it was from Montana. They would jump in some kind, like a Jeep Wrangler. There'd be 4 of them. Their bags would be in the back. I mean, it was this typical story. They don't even know where their next meal is going to be, but they got their next workout lined up. And Tim was just one of the guys. He was just going from town to town trying to learn the sport. But he was so good at it, like when practice was over, we would ask him to come back on the mat and show us, what were you doing here? What were you looking for here? What is this technique? He was very advanced, and he had an eye for it. It just wasn't what he wanted to do. He was a young man. He was trying to pursue a career himself, but I think he will be a coach of a world champion before maybe he get that opportunity. You know, so he's good at both. Don't get me wrong, but he's special. He's got a special mind, Tim Welch, in my opinion.
Thank you, Chael.
by the words you would say before the fight.
Well, I appreciate that. I guess you'd have to tell me. I never felt that way about it. I did feel, one thing I felt I never got credit for is I would fight anyone, anywhere, at any time, regardless of what I said. But that was my code. I'll say whatever I want to say, but when it's time to show up, I'll make that walk no matter how I feel. I had to do it at 85 against world champions, 205 against world champions, heavyweight against world. I fought Anderson, Jon Jones, and Fedor, and I whipped them all, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I did think that part was a little bit misunderstood. You know, I fought 11 world champions in 3 different weight classes. I beat 8 of them. You know, and I didn't even do the Sugar State Athletic Commission for that. That was like the Nevada Commission. So there was one point, if I was to shine up my own wheels, I would probably bring that up.
I think one of the best UFC careers, best fighting careers. You almost have 75 amateur and professional careers. Oh, over 50% win, I would say. So 100%, yes. 100% win rate for Chael Sonnen.
And ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce my nephew, who I planted in the crowd. But you did an excellent job, just like we rehearsed. Thank you.
Thanks, Uncle Chael.
All right, buddy.